as we get into this swing here, you can see he gets a nice load into his rear leg, right, and into his rear hip. I like the fact that everything's kind of moving together when he loads, meaning his front knee kind of comes down and then his hands start to kind of load back at the same time. His front shoulders obviously down and in. A lot of Mike Trout kind of he doesn't have a high leg kick, but a lot of Trout in this swing when he gets after it. So when we get him to the launch position here, again, heel plant, we're going to see that back knee come in. And this is a big dude, right? A big, strong guy, and he's creating a ton of separation. It's somewhat hard to see here, but you can see his belt and his hips are facing this way, and his chest is still back here, probably behind his back foot. So he's got a ton of separation. Top of the top hand at about his ear. Okay, knob facing back behind his back foot. A lot of people say face the catcher with that. Well, it depends where the catcher is. This guy here, I don't know who he plays for, but he's probably needs to be about 2 or 3 feet closer to the to the hitter. He's pretty far back, but that's okay. We're not talking about him. All right. So again, great launch position here. So now as we continue through the swing, you see the back knee starting to come in. His head's going to stabilize here. Usually a frame or two after contact. Okay. So there's his head there. Okay. You can see that head stays back. You see how the head doesn't lift. That's really, really good. So now we see this pitch coming in. I'm going to put a number on it. I don't know how level the camera is. So, this isn't going to be an exact number, but it's probably plus or minus 2 degrees would be my guess. Let's see. Here comes that pitch. So it looks like a fastball. I'm getting 4 degrees on here. Okay. So it's probably 4 to 6 degrees or 5 degrees. It's probably 5 to 7 degrees coming down. So my concern with him, now I have to redraw it. Give me 1 second here.
Well, he stays connected well, though, doesn't he?
He does. He has a very short move to the ball. That's what it means. His elbows, are pretty tight on this pitch. I don't know how in it was, but you can see that bat slot's right next to his shoulder. Kind of as he starts to rotate and the ball comes into the screen there. So let me redraw that line again. I just wanted to zoom in. So here's the middle of the ball and the middle of the ball. Okay, so let's see what we got here. About 5 degrees again. Let's watch where his barrel goes. So you can see right here, his barrel drops below that line. So the ball is at his front foot. So this tells me a lot of what he's going to do. Now, if he missed this pitch and didn't hit it well, then it would kind of tell me, okay, maybe he just took a bad swing. But the fact that he barreled this means that this is probably a pretty typical swing of his. But you can see his barrel drops below that line somewhat significantly. If it drops below that line an inch, that's usually good. That will help get the ball in the air. If it drops more than that, then what happens is we have to make a correction. So if we look at his barrel path from here to the ball, he's probably coming up, I don't know, it's tough to tell which, from there to there, it's probably like, close to 16, 15 degrees. And then it goes from here, it goes even steeper, which would be concerning to me. It goes to 26. So he's going from, down there all the way to 26 in 2 frames. Okay, so it gets a little blurry in here. Now, the good part is, notice how perfect his timing was. See where all those lines intersect there? Okay, that's exactly where he hits it. Okay, he hits the ball there, and then the ball's off the bat there, and now that ball's leaving. So this is not high enough for a home run, but the ball's leaving at 18. I guess if Judge hit it or Stanton with some kind of super 2020 COVID baseballs, they might go out of the park. But 17 degrees, that's a gapper. If he hit it over the shortstop's head, it's probably a double. If he hit it at an outfielder, it's just a single. But, he definitely hit this ball pretty good on the barrel. But you can see that was his one spot. So what happens if our friend here is just a little bit early and he tries to hit the ball? And this pitch wasn't outside, right? You can tell by his elbows and how tight his elbows are. This pitch wasn't outside, and he let it get really deep. So what does that tell me? That tells me that he probably knows that when he lets the ball get deep, behind his front foot, he's really good. Okay. Now, what happens if he hits a ball out by his front toes? Well, I don't know if he normally extends or not. I have another video we're going to look at. We're going to see if we get any more right arm extension. But my concern would be this frame here where he drops a little bit under, and then this frame out in front where he's way over. So to me, if he doesn't hit the ball, if he doesn't have perfect timing, then and he hits the ball back here, he's going to pop it up. Meaning if he hits it like here, he's going to pop it up. Or if he hits it here, he's going to top it and ground it out. So that's my concern as a development coach or as a scout. If I was looking at this swing, I would have concerns with that. Okay, everything else looked good, but then so I have this concern. Right, here's my concern. He's got a 4-inch window where he's going to be successful, and then I look at his stats and I say, this dude is really successful. Is he really successful in 4 inches? If that's the case, his brain and his timing and his rhythm and his thought process is off the charts. Okay, so
Sorry, I just to cut in. Does this have to do with bat? I'm looking at. I'm frozen at the frame of where he's just at the point of contact, where it actually looks like he gets jammed. He doesn't. He actually gets barreled to the baseball. Is that a product though of bat lag, a really good bat lag? Because this is an inside pitch.
No, it's not, because if you take it back to, so you have the frame where the ball's off the bat, where his barrel's on the inside of his left thigh, and then you take it back one frame, and then you take it back another frame. So you take it back 2 frames. If he had good bat lag, the knob of the bat would be even with his left elbow.
Okay.
Okay, and that barrel would be up higher.
Okay.
So he's actually releasing the barrel a little bit early to get it to the ball, which is what you would do on an outside pitch to get to it. But I don't think it was outside based on what his hands look like at contact and where the catcher's set up and the catcher's arm. The catcher's definitely not reaching across his body. So this is, this could be good hitting, and again, maybe he had 2 strikes, right? Maybe he had 2 strikes. He was looking for a ball away. Guy throws it in. He alligator arms it and hits a ball to left field. But I've looked at a few of his swings, and this is very similar. Okay, this arm action where he doesn't really get his right arm extended is very common. He doesn't get to a full power V. Now, I have seen him get to that position in batting practice, which is a good sign, but not as much in games. So for me, this tells me he might get exposed with, different speed pitches. Okay, so this is, a little bit of a concern. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, a side-by-side in here. And this is another swing from that same summer when he's on the Olympic team. Okay, and we'll take a look at this. So he has a blue jersey on now. Okay, so just zoom in here, and we'll take a look at this swing. Okay, so as he goes through, we're going to see the same load. We're going to see same launch position. Okay, I mean, he's pretty darn consistent here with his load and launch. So that's pretty awesome, right? That's always good to see. Let me just drive that down. Okay, then as he continues to come through, you can see that bat comes down next to the shoulder, and he's just a little bit, he dumps the barrel for what I'm looking for in my taste. He dumps that barrel a little bit earlier. Most guys are still going to be about here in this position. When that bat's in the approach position, when the barrel's parallel to the batter's box line, the knob's facing the pitcher, the barrel's facing the catcher. In that position, typically you want to see that knob out in front more and that barrel a little bit higher than what he has. He's got a little bit more slope there. Okay. So this could mean this is more of it's kind of a Judge swing plane, I guess. That would be, definitely, if you have Yelich on one side and Judge on the other side, it definitely leans more towards that. I don't know if I would say Trout is going to be, Trout keeps that barrel up a little bit more in this position for sure. But as we continue here, it's another barrel. This is a barrel to right center. To me, it looks like this kid's going to be a right center field hitter. He has really good power to right center field because he lets the ball get deep, right? And if we bring this back, we're going to bring this pitch back again. Draw a similar line. Okay, so I'm going to draw a similar line here through the ball from here to here. Is it the same
No,
same?
the swing plane, correct?
Yeah, the pitch plane. So drawing the pitch plane. So this one's at roughly 4 degrees. So 4 or 5. It's the exact same pitch he had before. But just notice how he lifts off of there. So that's my concern is he doesn't stay. I mean, you can see barrel, right? I mean, he this is a perfect frame where he gets to the barrel to
Yeah.
the ball, right? But then one frame after, can he get to here? Like, what happens if he's 6 inches earlier? Does his barrel go to there? No, he's going to hit that ball off the end of the bat and hit a ground ball to the pull side. So he's definitely a guy. I mean, you could put him in a little bit more of a JD Martinez, although Martinez extends really well. Martinez kind of drops the barrel down like this, but Martinez will extend and control the barrel all the way to the front foot or beyond. Okay, so that's the difference. And see, his right arm looks exactly the same as it looks, here on the left side on the other swing. So these are very very similar swings. That would be, my concern is he's going to hit a lot of ground balls to the pull side. Like he's going to hit a lot of toppers to the pull side if he doesn't let it get deep, which also means he's not maximizing any barrel release and he's not maximizing, his swing plane because he could really be on plane probably from there to there on this swing if he used his hands and arms. Now, this is something that he's going to learn at the next level. This is a wood bat move. This is a whippy move. This is something that's going to take him a year or two with the wood bat, and he will totally get it. So I wouldn't really have any concern. I mean, unless he's not coachable or I don't see that happening, right? He's a good kid from everything that I've read. So, but that's where his strength will become is extending his happy zone, extending instead of having a 4 inch window to make contact, he'll be able to hopefully double that, so that he stays on plane, and it all has to do really with his right hand. So that's what I see now. And then the reason he does that is because he drops his barrel here underneath a little bit. If he extended from this position, when the ball, Jim, when the ball's out in front of his front foot, he hasn't hit it yet, and his barrel's back by his back ankle. So from this position, what guys usually do is their barrel will drop, and then it's like, oh crud, I got to get it back up, and so they're going to kind of come this way back up to the ball. Okay, he actually cuts that off a little bit soon. But that's the problem. Usually you don't want your barrel, most really great big leaguers that have success, their barrel comes down and it doesn't really level off until about here, the inside of their left knee. Then it'll start to kind of work up that way through the ball. So you can see he drops it earlier and then he comes back up sooner. All right. So I don't know if that's what he's been taught or that's what he does, but that would be the change. That would be the adjustment to really make him better. So if I was grading a swing like this and I didn't know who he was, hey Jake, here's a swing. Can you evaluate this for it? There's definite risk in these two swings. There's risk. But when you take that risk and you say, here's a guy that barrels everything, here's a guy that hit 350 in the pack. Well, let's see what his pack. I don't know if you can pull that up, but if you find out what his conference numbers are, Pac-12 pitching versus playing some other schools midweek, that's much different. So did he hit 300 in the Pac-12? That would be like, okay, this dude barrels balls. He's a quality hitter, and he has an issue. So when you take that information and you couple it, to me, I'm like, I want this guy. I don't know if I take him 1-1, but I want this guy because I know I can make him even better than he already is. He has intangibles. He has vision. He has good rhythm. He's a gamer. Now all of a sudden, and I see some flaws. I see some room for growth in his swing. That's exciting as a development guy. That's exciting for me. If I'm cutting a check for $8 million to sign this guy, I have concerns, and I hope I have trust in my development staff to really bring out the best in this kid that we just drafted.
Yeah. Also, just for another visual for everybody, when you were talking about the barrel dump and where the barrel needed to be to get coming down and getting on plane inside that back right knee, the one cue that I've heard you say before to a young hitter on one of your videos on your Facebook page was pretend that that barrel is slicing your trap in half, and that keeps kind of gives you a better visual and a cue to keep it close and stay connected and to get on plane on time, which is something that it doesn't seem like he does because of that barrel dump, correct?
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, and that's it's not bad. Like he keeps that barrel. When he first goes to rotate, this is what I look at here. See how close the bat is to his head. So his first move is pretty good. That bat stays right next to his head. He doesn't use his left arm as much as some other players. If you look at Buster Posey. I'm trying to think of a guy, a bigger guy with build, or even Judge sometimes before his barrel kind of dumps. But they'll get to this position here, and by using their left arm more, their bat will be here over the shoulder. Okay, so if I bring him one more, their hand will be here, and that's using the left arm more, which is he's a right hand dominant guy. He uses his right hand more. Using your right hand is fantastic, especially out in front with wood to release that barrel. But using the right hand early in the swing typically isn't a great move unless you're trying to do it to keep the barrel up, to keep the barrel more vertical. You see a lot of guys do top hand drills. But if you use your top hand early.
Pushy at that point when you're using too much of the right hand?
Sometimes. I don't have a problem with a push. I see a lot of big leaguers kind of push through all the time. And again, the push through happens right at contact. So you extend the right arm and push your right arm and release the barrel through so that you stay on plane. So he actually needs some push from the contact position where his right elbow is kind of stuck to his hip or his ribs there. He needs to push and separate, get some arm separation. That will help him stay on plane. So yeah, I mean, he definitely could shorten everything up and get rid of that little bit of a barrel dump. But you know what? To each his own. I mean, if these baseballs that we're hitting this year, they're hard. I mean, they got to be a little bit harder because I'm seeing exit velocities that are higher than I ever have before on balls that are hit higher than I've ever seen before. Then you know what? There's nothing wrong with Aaron Judge. He's got like 6 home runs already, right? I mean, this is a big, strong guy. You put him in Detroit. I don't know what right center in Detroit is. It's probably nothing like right center in Yankee Stadium, which is a really short porch. Let him do that. That's his game. And then you know what? He can cheat middle in once in a while once the pitchers make adjustment, and he's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with a guy that can hit in the big leagues and hit 280 with 35 home runs or 265 with 35 home runs. There's no problem with that. But if you're trying to maximize this guy's potential and he has that kind of hitting ability, I think he could probably hit, 315 and hit 30 home runs if he has that ability and the right swing.
Yeah. A couple of notes here. I'm looking at his page on Arizona State's sports